We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices, I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. But you know, they wouldn't let you have it any other way.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. The Fans Forum is back and a satisfactory weekend, satisfactory performance and a good way to start the week, Chippers. And you're sitting in George's seat, so we'll let you go first. You live on Electric Avenue. You're going to rock down to Electric Avenue. Is that the reference, Chippers?
Hopefully, yeah.
I don't get the snooker reference, Parrot, but never mind.
Can you sing it, Chippers?
I knew that would make Darren laugh.
I think if I sing it, I think you'll lose followers and subscribers. So I'm not going to chance it.
People will unfollow the channel. Well, actually, to be honest, before I get your opinion on the game, Mozza did send another poem. Now, I read one of her poems out the other night. She's on fire. Here we go, lads. Listen to this. It's 6 p.m. on Monday night. Time to debate and sometimes fight. The forum's on means just one thing. We all cross fingers. Steve won't sing. There's our Spenny talking sense. Darren slagging our defence. Barry drunk, although denies it. Now here's Alan to start a riot. Kevin sitting in the sun. Pablo happy that we've won. Chipper's often looking sad. Ian TT, who language is bad. Our lovely George is ever wise. He really is the best of guys. So type in chat, but never in caps, or one of the mods will give you the axe. So get yourself ready to hear their views. Who was right? Well, you can choose.
Oh, well done, Mozza.
Fantastic. Brilliant stuff.
Better than yours, Steve.
Yeah, they are. Keep them coming. Keep them coming, Mozza.
That's be the best. That's be the best yet, that like.
It was. It's a classic, isn't it? So, 5-1. First half. As dear me, we got off to a terrible start after that wonderful flag display by War Flags. We could have been 2-0 down. We ended up getting to 1-1 with a wonderful goal from Isaac, and then we ended up cruising in the second half. The proverbial game of two halves, Chippers.
Yeah, it was the game of two halves, and it was more so of the Clint Eastwood film, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I think we saw three of them of Newcastle in one. We started exactly how we started, like at Crystal Palace. We looked lethargic. I think we took Sheffield United for granted. I just thought we didn't turn up, and I thought we're going to beat them. That's it. Rather than put the effort in. And to me, I think Dubravka should have saved the goal because it was basically a header straight at him. I mean, he's been megged in two games now, and he's got his legs up more than Katie Price, and shouldn't be happening as a goalkeeper. He needs to have it a bit. I mean, if he needs to have a third leg, I mean, geez, if there's anyone that needs to have one, it's him. But you know what? The goals we scored were just pretty simple. It was a pass from Murphy to Isaac. Second one was from a set piece, free kick. Third one, penalty. fourth one from a corner, fifth one was obviously a nice through ball from Barnes for Wilson, but it just showed you if we keep it simple, they're easy to open up. And first half, I think as well, Sheffield United came with no pressure because everyone expected us to win, and they knew they were going down, but it was a case of, well, Newcastle or rumoured as going to steamroll us so we can just play without any pressure and fear, and that's what they did do. Fabian Shaw was injured clearly from the first whistle because he got skinned left, right and centre, and I'm just wondering whether he was injured at Palace as well because he had the same lethargic attitude there, and he wanted 4 or 5 touches on the ball when he wasn't going to get it. Longstaff was the same, wanted 4 or 5 touches on the ball, wasn't going to get it. I thought Dan Burn, again, there's no coincidence he's playing as a left centre back and he has a good game because that's his natural position. I was very shocked Livramento was starting, given what Eddie Howe said on Friday, saying he's basically injured and he's only on the bench for emergency purposes and that he's playing a full game, which was odd. But yeah, the result's the most important thing. And, as Salford United couldn't do, we got over the line and scored 5 goals to complement that. So in the space of 2 games when, they could have had a good buffer on us, they've only got 1 point on us. And if you look at our goal difference, I think it's 8 plus 18 more than what theirs is, which is a big turn if it comes down to that. So, yeah, I'm now resigned for it to not play well but get results, and I'll gladly take that for the rest of the season because we need to end the season with some sort of momentum and worry about the performances next season because, as I've just said, all that matters is the points. And if we can play bad and still beat a team 5-1, we must be doing something right.
Yeah, I mean that's half the bottle. If you can, if you can win when you're not playing as well as you normally do, I get it. TG, I get your point. I mean, Rob wouldn't have done that maliciously. Rob Byron's a great guy. He always plays moving on up. But yeah, I mean, with hindsight, with Sheffield United going down, yeah, I can understand why you would say that. So, point taken. Darren, I've got to ask you. Diane Byrne says, "How did your best man speech go on Saturday?"
It went well, and I was giving my speech, and then I continued to go, and I thought it did help. It did help my speech. I looked, go look, Newcastle getting beat on. That's a good start. So, yes, it was. I watched the highlights. I've seen what a lot of people have told us what they thought. First half were dreadful. Our defence was all over the place. Like Crystal Palace, we were shocked against Crystal Palace. Defence team for a lot. I just think I hope the team's not thinking about the end of the season holidays. That's what it seems like to me, But second half we're turning around, 1-5-1, but I wouldn't get too carried away. I told Sheffield United would beat 5-1. That was a half decent team. It might not have come that way because Sheffield United should have been 2-3 up first half. They should have been 2 in the first half. But it's the last 2 games just tells me going forward. I think we need new centre halves and get because we need the aging. Shaw's aging and Dan Byrne's aging. Now he's doing a good job. But if we want to go to the next level, we need a bit more hunger. Not hunger, but younger centre half or pace wise. You know what I mean? Because it's happening. It's become a coincidence. We're getting done for pace a lot of the time now, so I don't think we need a couple of younger centre half who's got to pace a little bit more. But one, I say, Issa scores 2 goals and Wilson come on and score. That was a good. And you see Wilson scoring. He's now the second top goal scorer in Newcastle.
Yeah, joint with Beardsley.
Yeah, joint with Peter Beardsley. So it's good to say he can come back, but he'll probably be injured next week again. So I won't get too carried away. But no, we won good 3 points. Will we make the UEFA Cup? I don't know. I'm a bit iffy because our away performance is not very good. That's what I'm concerned about this. Going and now we've got 1 home game, 3 away games. I'm just concerned about how many games we're going to win away. That's what I think.
Yeah. Okay. Just a reminder as well. I mean, yeah, Callum Wilson, well done. You've gone joint with Peter Beardsley in the Premier League. Just a reminder. Who is directly behind Alan Shearer in the all-time goals for Newcastle is Jackie Milburn. Third place is Len White. Fourth place is Hughie Gallagher. Fifth place is Supermac. And in sixth place is Peter Beardsley. You then got Bobby Mitchell, Brian Pop Robson, George Robledo, and Shola Amiobi is in 10th position in the all-time Newcastle goal scoring list. Callum Wilson, incidentally, at this moment in time, isn't in the top 25. Chris Waddle's ahead of him. Rob Lee's ahead of him. Not bad for a midfielder. John Tudor, of course. Mickey Quinn, Andy Cole, Vic Keeble. Some names as well that none of us will remember. Jack Smith, 1915, he scored 73 goals. Tommy Lang in 1906, he's got 57 to his name. Billy Cairns, 1912, 53 goals. Wyn Davies as well, he's number 21. So, yeah, I always like to remind people life did start before the Premier League. Yeah, Spenny, it was an interesting game. I mean, I took 3-1. That was my thoughts. I was really shocked and surprised at how we started that game. I did expect Sheffield to come at us like they had against Manchester United during the week. But it was a bit of a scare, and that's my concern going into the weekend's game against Burnley, who I think it will be a different proposition. We'll come to that in the second half. But yeah, what did you make of the overall performance?
There was another record broke as well, Steve, against Sheffield United, the only team to score more goals against one side in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, good point.
That's a broken record as well. Going to the match, it's similarities, believe it or not, with Manchester City, how Manchester City players. If you're like a tactics guru like Kev is, you watch Manchester City, they play the first 20, 25 minutes, sussing you in the opposition out to see where their tactics are going and where the weaknesses are. Maybe that's what Eddie's doing here. Lay him back and let the other team play maybe and see how they get on. Possibly that, or I don't know. That's the only scenario I can think of. For me, yes, we were unlucky. We were lucky. Dan Burns saved the day 2 or 3 times in the first half. It should have been 2 or 3 goals up. He cleared off the line. He defended well, as usual. Playing out his skin, that lad, for me. The goals, all credit goals, but I thought Wilson's was the best goal at the end. I thought it was a cracking finish for me. Top corner job. But well done to Mr. Wilson scoring. But a great result, and it's a result that matters for me.
Yeah, the Kenny Ranson derby, I'm going to call it. Good to see Eddie and Dale in the chat. It was great to see the Ransons out, and of course, there's the Sheffield United connection in the family as well. But it was great to see you all at the Tyneside Irish Centre as well, and great game as well. There's no doubt about it. Kenny would have loved that. George, your take on the game. It was good to see you before the game. What was your thoughts?
First half dreadful. I mean, if you took that 11 at the first half and said, how many of them will you keep for next year? I could only count 3. Gordon, Isak and Bruno. All the rest you could get rid of. No bother. Dan Burns saved with... Spenny's absolutely right. Dan Burns saved when he saved 3 clear goals at least when Dubravka should have been getting balls and he was nowhere near. 3 times the ball went head high across our 6-yard area, just in front of the goal, and Dubravka didn't even go for it. I mean, I don't know what the hell thinks he's doing, but it was dreadful. Schoolboy errors. And as Fabian Shaw, 10 minutes after we kicked off, Steve Hasty and I were saying to each other, he's not fit. Because every time somebody went down the right side and he went out to meet them, they just accelerated. They didn't even sprint. They just accelerated. In fact, at one stage, I thought I could have beat him with my walking stick. He really did look unfit, totally unfit. And I don't know what that was about. There was no spirit in the team, no spirit whatsoever in the team. And I don't know what that's about, but it looked dreadful. It went through the team as well. I mean, as I said, Dubravka was awful. It took Livramento a while to get going. Young Hall made some terrible passes early on as well. So it just was a shambles the first half. What happened afterwards? Well, what happened was once we got in the lead, Sheffield's heads went down, and that's it. They give up. It was as simple as that for me. And then it became easier. It should have been 6 or 7 or maybe 8 again if we'd taken our chances. I mean, we're 5-0 up with nearly 15, 20 minutes to go. So I would have thought that we would have done better than that. But the win is important, as all the lads have said. Second half, Bruno became the Bruno that we know, and there's no doubt he enjoys having the other midfielders behind him, like young Anderson and so on. Yeah, they were just. He just has a freedom which gives him the freedom of the park. And as I said more than once on this time, I haven't seen a player who is prepared to receive the ball in the most dangerous positions. There were a couple of times, 4 or 5 times on Saturday when he was surrounded by Sheffield players, yet was still asking for the ball. And he gets the ball and a couple of shakes of his shoulders and he's away. Left Sheffield defenders sitting on the backsides most of the time. So there's lots of positives, but gosh, that first half. As I say, if that first half was the team and somebody said, well, how many of these will be here next year? You could only pick 3, Gordon, Isak and Bruno. The rest, absolutely awful. Spenny says the first half has Eddie decided to let the other team sound out? I don't think so. We were just awful. It was so bad. It was untrue. But we've got a result, an important result. Could have been better in terms of goals scored, but there was some excellent play to get the goals. The Wilson goal was superb, but so are some of the others. I mean, the Gordon free kick for Bruno's header was superb. So I think the notion that Trippier is the only one that can take free kicks is vastly disappearing for me. And Benny's saying Burn was absolutely brilliant first half. They would have been out of sight if it hadn't been for Dan Burn. He made at least three blocks, showing young people how to defend, use his body to defend without giving handballs away and all the rest of it. So yes, I agree with that. But in terms of the sort of player we expect for a future Newcastle United, there was only 3 people in that first half who I would keep for next year. Brilliant. And Steve, people criticising the going on up thing, but they're forgetting that Sheffield United team got applauded around the pitch by Newcastle fans on Saturday. And I don't know why people have missed that. Because I think it's just maybe. I think just maybe with him being relegated. I mean, he always plays that song. Well, he always plays it. I mean, does, but I thought that's counteracted by the fact that I don't know what happened in other parts of the ground, but in front of me, the fans were actually applauding Sheffield off the pitch, which is lovely. I mean, that's the football I like. If you know, you can appreciate the opposition. So. Good result, which is what was important, but some terrible things during the day.
Yeah. Okay, Ian. Give us your views on the match at the weekend. I mean, it's 13 goals against Sheffield United. I mean, they'll be glad to see the back of us.
Yeah, but first half, I've got to say they outfought us, they outplayed us, they outbattled us. I was watching the first half, and I actually thought, apart from 4 players, I'd say, there just seemed to be a lack of effort. I'm not going to go miserable because obviously it was, as they say, the old
leave that to me. Leave that to me.
It's all right. One other thing I've got to say is it's good news that no one committed suicide when Daz did his best man speech. Anyway, I thought I was a little bit worried that there might be some cyanide pills going in. No, But then they came out in the second half. First couple of minutes, I thought, "What? Nothing's changed here." They went straight on the attack. After that, it was just. I know it is that, you know, it's a game of two halves, funny old game. All the old adages come out, don't they? But like, it was as if someone had stuck a massive rocket up all their arses, and I just think it's a confidence thing. As soon as we've got that goal, you know, Bruno basically picked the game up, but picked them all up by the testicles, and dragged everybody into the game. He took the game by the scruff of the neck, and he was just linking everything. What the thing that worries me is, if it wasn't for Dan Burn, we should have been at least 3-1 down in that first half. And against a better team, we're getting nothing there, you know. So, yes, great result, brilliant. I went out, I had a few after, and it made my weekend that we came back. But still, there's a bit of work to be done there. And I do worry that Bruno's carrying a big load in that midfield. You know, and he's not getting much help. Positive things are the same as they always are. Dan Burn, by the way, needs everybody needs to acknowledge that Dan Burn is a very, very, very good centre back, left-sided centre back. He's not a left back. Since he's gone into his actual proper position, he has been excellent. And everyone who slated him before, you know, needs to have wind the neck, and he's done a job where he was put before, but he is a very good centre back, and in the last few games, I think he's saved us many times. So that's all I'm going to say before I get slated on the private chat.
Yeah, you can have a look at the private chat now. It's just Chipper said, Ian, having a few, surely not. I went, does he drink? I mean, I know Barry does, but
I've got my special glass as well. Emily got us.
Don't on Barry, like,
Oh, goodness.
No, you can't see it. It's got Newcastle United. It's
special glass for a special guy, Ian.
What's it got in? Baywax? Has it got Baywax in?
I don't know what it is.
Penny, are you trying to look intelligent with them glasses on today, by the way? You look pretty.
Can't hear for a dog.
Who let the dogs out? It's Barry's dogs going mad because they've never seen him before because the doors have been moved.
The doors have been taken off again.
Alan, give us your upbeat view on the game at the weekend.
Well, my upbeat view, lads, is we've seen one of the summer targets I think we should be going for, and that's young 19-year-old from Sheffield, Armour Blaster. He's come in, he's had rave reviews, and he ran the show in the first half for Sheffield, and he's only 19. So if we want to get the young talent in, you want to watch him, because I think you'll go for that young lad. He ran the show in the first half for Sheffield. So if you want a signing, fair enough, a lot of people say you shouldn't get players from relegated teams, but he's just come on the scene. In the last few weeks, he's had rave reviews. So a game of two halves, like the lads have said. I noticed you coming just before I came on there, Steve, about Sean Longstaff and Anderson, and I did think it was the poorest they played, both of them. I have to say, if you look at it at the start of next season, how many of them 11 that started would be starting on the first game of the season? Like George highlighted, only 3. And Dan Burns played great, but he's only a backup centre-half, lads.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's only a backup centre-half. He's great to be in the squad. You don't want to be starting next season with Sean Longstaff. And I love, Anderson's still got a long way to go. He's still a young lad, so I have him as a backup again. But if you look at that midfield, it was like 3 snails going to a funeral. They were that slow coming back in the first half. It was untrue. I mean, crikey, I've had health problems over the last month, and I could run faster than them 3 young lads because they were slow as hell getting back. I think the positives are we've got a massive 3 points. But this is where I've always been an advocate for Eddie Howe. But this is where these next 4 games, he will earn his money. Because we've got 3 away, 1 at home. Man United, that is the poorest Man United team I've seen in 30 years. And if we get beat off them, Steve, you'll hear a rant from me, I'm telling you. Because we should never get beat off that team. home or away. They are garbage. Burnley should have hammered them. I'm more worried about next week than I am against Man United.
Funny enough, so am I.
Up for it. And if we don't play well and we're not up for it, we'll get beat off Burnley, because we've been beat off Bournemouth, we've been beat off Luton, and like people on the chat have said, well, away form is shocking. But that's no surprise, lads. Like I've said many times, I'm a facts and figures man that go by history. When a lot of the lads say we're going to win week in, week out, we've won 4 games away. That's what average over the last 24 years, lads. That's what average over 74 years. Our away form has kept us from challenging for the title over 74 years because we're hopeless over away. We've got 3 away games. And to be fair, lads, I'm dreading them, to be honest, because they've showed with nothing this season that we're going to get them points to be in the Europa League. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Eddie Howe spurs the lads to win them games, because we need to win 2 out of them 3 away games, and we're breaking it to them, who are absolutely rubbish. And just leave it at that, lads. But the last fact is, that's the first time we've been ahead of Sheffield United in 130 years. 51 wins to 50. We've never been ahead of them in like 130 years. So at least we're beating them on that score. And I agree with George. A lot of the Sheffield United fans on the tablet this afternoon have said they applauded our city and the fans because we didn't rub it in when they got relegated. And a lot of fans were saying wish you all the best for next season. So that was great. And the welcome Bruno got was fantastic. And long may it continue.
And just want to say thank you to Julie. She says, if you're a snail and you're offended by the slur, please take it up with Alan Thompson. Barry, what's your thoughts, mate?
I mean, God, what can you say that the guys haven't already said? First half, well, early part of the first half, they're absolutely terrible. As other people have said, Dan Burn, I just was immense. We could have been 2-3-0 down had he not made a couple of great interceptions, covering back. He looks, like the guys have said, he looks absolutely class because he's playing in his proper position. He just, for me, he's on a par with Shaw at the minute. I know Shaw, I honestly think Shaw's got an injury, but he just looks so comfortable. I mean, obviously, Botman had...
Be better than Shaw.
I was going to say, I mean, we'll talk about Shaw and Botman being the first choice 2 next season. I can't see why it couldn't be Burnham Botman, to be honest. But everyone knows I'm a big Dan Burn. I know, Darren, I know. I'm a big Dan Burn fan, but it just...
Both left-sided defenders, Barry.
I know. Well...
But going forward, going for like, if we want to go to the next level, Dan Burn's not the answer.
Oh, yeah. But to be honest, Darren, if we go to the next level, Shaw wouldn't be there either because he'd sign to be better than him.
Dan Burn's done all right. Class is a strong word, and I don't think Dan Burn's class. He's average at best. If he was class...
You wouldn't say that to him, though, would you?
Eh?
You wouldn't say that to him.
I would. I'll give you an honest opinion.
He's bigger than you.
I'll give him my I'll tell you what I think. Class is a strong word for Dan Burn. Very strong word.
For me, I look at it. The break that we had probably came at the worst possible time of the season. Because before the break, we were looking on fire. We were doing really well. Gordon was ripping people apart. We've come back from the break, and it's like we've started from scratch again. They're struggling, like the guys have said, they seem to be struggling confidence-wise. The passion doesn't seem to be there that they've had before. Thankfully, Isaac's still on fire. Gordon, like George said, took a while to get into the game, but once he got going, he was ripping them apart. We were always going to beat Sheffield United, but I don't want them to struggle against other teams. They need to find a way to play like that for the full 90 minutes, which was a bit disappointing. I totally agree with what you guys are saying. I think Dubravka, we desperately need somebody to replace him. I wouldn't have him there next season. I'm very surprised they've given Gillespie another contract. The kid's never played a game. I would have brought somebody else in instead of him as well. But obviously the club knows what it's doing. I know they're looking at him because he's a Northeast lad, but I wouldn't have kept Gillespie either. It's that last, 5 games? It's can we get into Europe? we bloody need to improve a bit, like the guys have said, away from home if we're going to do it. Because if we're going to play like that at home for the first 20, 30 minutes, I would hate to think we'll play like that away against in the next game. So fingers crossed we can start playing a bit better towards the end.
Diane Byrne says, Alan and Darren have a day off with your negativity. Dan Byrne is as good as Botman. Just remember, Darren, he's a defender and his first job is to defend.
Come on, Dan.
Well, I'll take Diane to that. If he has a shutout against Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool away, then he's class. That's when you judge players and defenders when they have shutouts against the top 6 teams. That's when you know that class. Until then,
in that case, Lascelles is left back then.
If you remember, Alan, he played Liverpool and he put Mo Salah in row Z.
Let's point out as well that Newcastle are third in the amount of clean sheets this season. We might have conceded a lot of goals, but we're third in the table behind Arsenal and Everton, believe it or not. So
10 clean sheets.
10 clean sheets. Yeah. TG says, I agree with what George is saying about the Toon fans applauding Sheffield United off, but this may have been lost due to the music blasting moving on up, even if he just turned it down a bit, just this once. So he just wanted to make his point again about that, which, fair enough, TG. I think I've pushed it across for you. Okay, Kev. I guess the question to ask you, just so you're not repeating what the lads have said, is just where did we really go wrong in the first half? What wasn't working? It can't just be it can't just be that Longstaff was having a bad game. I think it was a bit more than that. Did we set up differently? What did you think was wrong with it?
I didn't see it. I was driving, so I was listening to it. But I watched highlights, and I mean, I can look at the game and see how, even from your question, I think we underestimated Sheffield United massively. In the way they played, they're very direct, they're very in your face. You know that again, they had nothing to lose in this game, and we did not that was sat back with whatever. It was our mentality going into the game. I could have told you that without even being kicked from minute one. It's our mentality going in against these teams who are fighting for their lives. Granted, they haven't got much to fight for, but they've got still something. They're still in the Premier League at this point before 90 minutes is up. So it's their mentality, our mentality going in. I've said this for months. It's how do we approach games? And I agree partly with George too at the top about the sussing out of other teams, but that should have been done Monday through after the Palace game immediately.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it is, yes, you analyze things within the first period of time within the game. Pep's the greatest at it. He knows within 3, 4, 5 minutes if his team are going to win or not. That's been documented. That's been said in Prime videos and things like that. So unless Eddie's taken a leaf out of that book, I don't know. But at the same time, that can't transcend onto the players. It can't transcend onto the first 11. We have to go out, especially at home, or in any game, but especially at home, to play on the front foot. And they've done exactly what we should have done right from minute one, and we didn't. And it was
great, Kev. We need better players if we're going to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You can't do it with Murphy and Longstaff.
No, right. But again, at the same time, it's what we got. So, again, I'm all for the mentality of players and the right preparation and all of the above. So if Eddie gets across his message and solidify that message into players quickly enough, right from second one, Sheffield United shouldn't have had the amount of possession that they had, the amount of chances that they had. I mean, they had straight balls through centre halves, which, I mean, the Titanic could have got through them. I mean, it was schoolboy. And then you're getting balls over the top. The set play routine was poorly marked. The key to agree with Chippers with, I think Dubravka could have maybe got something onto it to save it. Granted, it's 2-3 yards out. It's quick reaction. Fair enough. But you should never get done in that scenario. We didn't stop the cross, so you got to look at that. You've got to look at all the aspects of it versus just one individual error. But at the end of the day, we got back into it in the midway part of the first half, and then we never really looked back. But it was just very what's the word, disjointed.
Shite.
It just looked not tools down tools, but at the same time, that's what it come across as. You know, again, like I said, I've just seen highlights or whatever, but that's what it. You know, I listen to BBC Newcastle on the way to my games, but that's how it sounded, and that's how it you know, so look, at the end of the day, we've got to win, and we'll keep marching on, and we'll keep moving forward. I understand the pressures of performance, and I understand it's a results-given business, so that's what ultimately we got. And look, commiserations to Sheffield United, you know, good old-fashioned club, unfortunately got relegated, and we were the ones to put them down, but it is what it is. That's football. You know, they should have done better in the other 30-odd games that you had, and then you wouldn't have all these problems, you know, in this game and all the rest of it. So, yeah, look, win's a win. Move on to Burnley, and let's go and see what happens at Burnley, because that's, again, I'm more worried about that against a decent football inside who might cause us a few more problems.
Okay, quick ad break. We'll be back after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract, free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk, telephone 01768 210 102, or email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Thanks to United Group Travel. There are no strangers in our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, telephone 01670 632 460, or mobile 0791 666 4174. Thanks to Media Arts for the technical side of things. And you can also find us as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. You can subscribe to the channel by hitting the subscribe button underneath this video. Hit the all notifications bell so you don't miss a show. Hit the thumb up to like the channel, and click share to your social media. If you want to join the channel, then click join for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become a member, for a one-off £25 payment, email john@nufcmatters.com, or go to membership at the website nufcmatters.com. If you've got a smartphone, hold your camera over the QR code and it'll take you straight there. We also help the food bank on this channel. Go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk to the matchday bucket and you can leave a virtual donation today. I just want to congratulate United Group Travel on their Travel and Tourism Award 2024. Well done to them. Give them a shout out this week. Well done to Beverly and all the gang. Big thing winning awards, and nice to be given the credit where credit is due. Don't forget as well, end of season due. Tickets are a tenner. All proceeds to Dementia Matters. Super Matt and Gibbo, George, and the Long Sounds on stage. Tickets from newcastlelegends.com or nufcmatters.com. Going to be a cracking night, that. Okay, lots of people talking about Gillespie and, being given an extra extension. Yeah, look, I agree with what a lot of people have said. I mean, ultimately, he's a Geordie. He's a local lad, and he's good cover. Yeah, he won't play many games. Scott Carson's only played a couple of games in 5 years, which is the point a few people are trying to make as well. But yeah, look, we can't go out and spend big money on every single position this summer. But Macca says, doesn't Gillespie's extension make sense? Homegrown, trained by the club as a youth player, perfect to have as third or fourth choice, ticks all the boxes. Name me other clubs that have got third choice keepers. So yeah, I get where people are coming from, and I do think we will get another goalkeeper in. That's my thoughts on that matter. Okay, looking ahead now, lads, to the weekend, and we have a trip to Burnley, and slightly different circumstances the last time. Newcastle, of course, relegating Burnley on the last trip to the Premier League. Vincent Kompany's given his team a chance this year to climb out of the bottom places. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. It isn't televised. And Eddie Howe, of course, returning to his former club. And it's his 100th Premier League game for Newcastle. He'll be looking for his 49th victory, some record that. Of course, his other Premier League games have seen 25 draws and 26 defeats, making him United's second most successful manager in the reformed top tier Premier League behind Kevin Keegan. That was his first spell, of course. A little too early for team news and referee and VAR officials, but I think we've already touched on it, Chippers, haven't we? This is a really important game. It's not one of those games where we're all looking at going easy 3 points. This we're looking at this going, we've got to be on our best form to get a result against Burnley.
Yeah, I think it will depend. I think the first 5 or 10 minutes will probably dictate the game. We know how they're going to play. We know that they've still got chances of survival. So until it's mathematically impossible, they're going to throw everything at teams. People will probably say we're favourites on paper with the squad we've got, so that's why I think they'll have the same Sheffield United approach. I.e., they'll have no fear, and if they get beat because they're expected to get beat. But we've got to start the game better than what we have done the last 3 or 4 games, because we did it at Fulham, we did it in the first 20 minutes against Spurs, we did it at Palace, and the Palace game we kept it for the full 90. We didn't come into the game so often. Saturday we did the same. It took too long to get into the game, and we need to get into the game. We need to start the game on the front foot. We need to start the game how we ended the game on Saturday, which was on top, showing that why we're in the Champions League this season, that where we are, why we're going for Europe, and why we've got players like Bruno and Isak in the team. And yeah, it's going to be a tough game, but we'll have had a full week to prepare for this game. So I'm expecting us to go there and win, because if we want European football, no disrespect to Burnley, you've got to go there and win, no matter if the chips are down or not, as the saying goes. You've got to go there and get 3 points, because they're the teams you expect to beat, teams that are going to go back down, possibly. So I'll be disappointed if we didn't, but obviously it is going to be a tough game. But this is what, after Man United dropping points against them last week, we need to put the pressure on Man U again by beating them. Like I say, it all depends who's available. Apparently, Miggy might be back on the bench again this weekend, which is another number to put on in the squad. Gives you a bit more options to have. Obviously, Wilson scoring last week, I think, was good for us. Wilson and Isak both scoring, because it means the striker's a bit more confident than what he probably was a week or so ago when he came back. So, I'm expecting a tough game, but I'm expecting us to go there and win. I mean, if we don't win on Saturday, then you could probably kiss goodbye to the Europa League. I know there's still 3 games after it, but these are the games you have to go there. This, for me, will be like the Fulham away game, where you've got to bite down on the gum shield and get it grinded out, and that might be the case again on Saturday.
Okay, prediction from you, Chippers, for this one?
I think we'll win 2-1. I think we'll go 2-0 up Isak, because I don't think anyone can stop Isak at the minute. I think Isak can probably go and they'll score, then they'll get a late goal back, and it'll be a bit of a flurry, but we'll get the 3 points.
I'd go for it, me. If Wilson's fit, I'd go for a change in formation. I'd play the two of them. Yeah. Go for it for the start. But okay, Darren, I did like this one, Darren. This one wasn't aimed at you, but I thought this was brilliant. If Dan Burn was called Danialo Burnio, they'd all be saying he was a top defender. Brilliant, Danny. That's definitely the message of the night. Darren, yeah, Burnley away. You're gonna be worried about this, I can tell.
I am. I don't think it's going to be straightforward, because Burnley got a draw against Man U. Their tails are going to be up. Our defence is not the best at the minute, so I think they'll, like Parrott said, we've got to start the game strong. I would play Wilson, Steve, with you. I agree with you. And I'll play Wilson, Gordon and Isak. That's a front field play. But we've got to start strong. If we don't start strong, it could go pear-shaped. So I'm going to go 2-1, hopefully. If not, 1-1.
All right, 1-1 wouldn't be a disaster, depending on what happens with Manchester United next weekend. As long as we don't get beat, I think. But we really do want to get down there and get a win. Spenny, what's your feelings about next week? Formation, the game.
I think he'll play at the same time as us on Saturday, to be honest, because that's the way Eddie does. But obviously, Shah's the one we doubting about is the injury, so it could mix it up a bit. I would like what you said there, Wilson up front with obviously Isaac and them. But I think we'll rout them. I think we'll beat them 4-1. I'm very confident. I watched them a few times, and yes, they are a bit defensive sometimes, and the break players people down on the counter attack, which we should be aware of against them. But I think we're positively we've got a great result behind us, and we can move forward and put pressure on Man United, and even put pressure on Tottenham still, because they've got some tough games coming up as well. So who knows what goes in the end of this season? We end up might have been 5th, 6th, or 7th.
Okay, what's your prediction, Spenny? Do you think we'll win 4-1?
I think we win 4-1.
Okay. Paul Toon says, problem, like George said, is our midfield are too slow. I mean, George, this is a team struggling at the bottom. They're going to come out fighting, but Newcastle have got a great front three. And I mean, I just think Newcastle should go for it. I think given our track record this season for scoring goals, why not give it a real go down there?
Well, there's an old saying, you defend from the front. And what better way to defend against a team like Burnley than to have a go from the off? It just worries me, as somebody's already said, Shipper said at the very beginning, if the Newcastle that started on Saturday is the Newcastle that goes out at Burnley, we're in for a tough time. There's no question about that. As optimistic as I am, I can't say we're doing very much if we start like that. So we've got to get that lethargy out of our system before we even kick a ball. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough game. I still think we'll win. I think we'll win 2-1 with Isaac and Gordon scoring the goals. I think yours a good shout, Steve, that Wilson and Isaac together looked very, very comfortable on Saturday when they were on the pitch together. And that would be a nice way to set Burnley back. But we must start a much better fashion than we have in the last couple of games, because that lethargy that seems to be there, no spirit's what worries me. That's what it felt like on Saturday. It was just awful. So I'm still optimistic enough to say we'll get a 2-1 win and take us forward towards a European place.
When you say no spirit, what do you mean, George?
Well, there was just nothing. I mean,
no
somebody
intensity.
said Sheffield went for it from the beginning, and we just couldn't keep up with them. Yeah, he was the guy who was running the game. No,
do you think we were overconfident, George?
I think there's something more than that. No, I don't think so. I think there's something drastic in the dressing room at the moment, and I can't put my finger on it. But the Geller, when they started off, and it took the kick up the bum to go in 1-0 before to go down 1-0 before they even start. That worries me greatly.
You're having a couple of dropouts on your internet, George. Don't worry, we'll stick with you because we'll go to Ian now. But I mean, I just think sometimes teams at the bottom are always going to be fighting for their lives, Ian. So I don't think there's anything wrong in the dressing room. I think we saw them all going in after the game on the video that the club released. Everyone's together. I don't quite see that. I just think sometimes when you're playing teams at the bottom, as we will be again at the weekend, they're fighting for their Premier League lives. Sheffield United knew that they were going down. It didn't matter whether it was last weekend, the weekend after. They knew they were going down. But the players have still got pride to play for. They're playing for places that they're playing for contracts. Some of them, and it'll be the same. It'll be the same at Burnley this weekend, Ian.
Yeah, looking back, I don't think it was. I don't think there's an issue in the dressing room. I think there's an issue in the midfield. Longstaff isn't fit, but at the moment we haven't got a replacement, or not a replacement that Eddie trusts from to start the game. So we're constantly on the back burner. So that means that Anderson's got to do twice as much work to look after Bruno and let Bruno do what he does. I thought Shaw was well off the pace. There was a point where he was chasing a defender back, and he just looked like he was jogging. Then it turns out he's injured. So he was obviously injured when he started the game, like that, because that was way before he actually got touched. Yeah. I just think that it's been a long, hard season, and it needs what we need to do for us to win games. We need to have legs around Bruno so Bruno can do what Bruno does. Simple as that. And when those legs aren't working, we look shit. And that rosy-cheeked little 19-year-old prepubescent kid who somebody said we should sign in the first half was really good actually in the first half. Yeah, he was really good in the first half. I wouldn't sign him, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to say he's not great. He's not a good player. He is, and he'll be a good player, but he's not for me. But he played really well in the first game. But he had legs, and they went for us. They outfought us and outran us. So forget that. We've done that already, haven't we? Me and Tommy are going down to Burnley, so I'm going to go along with Spenny because I'm going down. So I'm going to go. Not what did you go spend 4-1?
Yeah,
I'm going to go 4-0.
4-0. Okay, Alan. I think you'll be a bit more reserved with your prediction, but how do you see this game going at the weekend, mate?
I think it's going to be tense and nervous because Burnley, for the first time in weeks, lads, have got a chance of staying up. So they played the last few weeks. Have played like Sheffield did on Saturday, as if they've got no chance of staying up. So they've played with freedom. Now, with them being 2 points out of danger, this will be the first game that they'll play under pressure, real pressure of staying up. So the game's in our hands. I agree everything what Ian said as well. If we don't start fast, if they score first, I think they'll win. If we score first, we'll win. I'm going for 3-1, but we must control the tempo of the game, lads. We must control it. In the last 2 or 3 games, we haven't. I don't think there's anything wrong with the dressing room, Steve. I agree with you on that. I just think there's so many injuries, and the players are just getting used to different systems as well. I think that plays such an important part when you're not used to playing. It was great seeing Tino and Young Hall, but doesn't it prove you why Eddie Howe didn't put Hall in? He's still learning his trade. He's 19. Same with Tino, they're 21. They're 2 young lads.
I thought Hall was excellent, me.
Yeah, and to be honest,
he was. Second half, he was.
These are pressurised situations now. The pressure's on big time for us to play in Europe. And I must admit, lads, I'll be gutted if we don't make Europe now in the situation we're in. Even though I've said all along we've got 3 away and 1 at home. And I'll just answer Diane's question. If we've got a world-class centre-half in Dan Burn, we should have 4 clean sheets in the next 4 games. Because she said to us, what standard of football did I play? Well, I'll answer that by saying the same as Jose Mourinho. But we should be winning these games.
You were Portuguese.
Yeah, well, he's answered his critics. Barry, well, did you give us a prediction, Alan?
3-1.
3-1.
If we score first, if Burnley score first, they'll win.
Yeah, and what Yano says, anyone in the chat who hasn't subscribed, what you waiting for? If you have a second login for YouTube, subscribe with both. Let's get to 52k. We're 55 away from hitting 52,000. So thank you for that, everybody. And those of you who can't comment and maybe have been able to comment, it's because you've just got to subscribe. So just subscribe to the channel. That'll help us out. Barry, give us some positivity, man.
I agree with George. I'm going to go against the rest of the lads. I think there's something not right. I think the attitude's not right in the team. They just don't seem to have, apart from 2 or 3 individuals, that don't seem to have that passion there. It seems to be missing. I don't know what it is. Like I said before, I think we came back after the break and we haven't looked the same side we were before. I totally agree with what the guys have said. We need to start well against Burnley because I think they could do us some damage if we play like we did at the weekend early on. End of the day, I think we'll be too strong for them. I think even if they score, I think Eddie seems to have gotten that into them now that they keep fighting till the very end, no matter whether they go behind or not, which is one of the most impressive things about the team. At one time, they would have just folded and gone down if they'd gone behind, but they proved it over and over again this season that they can battle back into games, which I think is a huge plus. For me, Steve, I think we'll win it. I think we'll win 2-1. I think it'll be a close game, but I think we'll turn them over, and then obviously all the pressure goes on them for the Man U game because that we will need to win. But yeah, I think it'll be a close match, but I think we've got too much for them.
Okay, Kev. Last but by no means least, look ahead to Burnley, mate. Tell us what you think and what your scoreline is going to be.
Like I said, Burnley trying to play football and play out from the back, all the above, the modern way, and with Vincent Kompany under Pep, how he played, all that sort of stuff and all that nonsense. But I've just looked up their last 5. They've only beat Sheffield United 4-1, and it's been either a loss or a 1-1 draw. So it seems like a free-flowing Burnley against Sheffield United looks great on paper, but I think we can, again, like if we start with a high intensity, and I totally agree with Alan what he said, and he stole my thunder, but it is what it is. If we control how the tempo of the game goes, and if we control not the possession essentially, but if we dictate versus them dictating, yes, they're at home, they're fighting, all the rest of it, but I think we'll get something out of the game. I genuinely do. I think it will have too much for them. Again, like I said, they only beat they've had 1-1, yes, against Man United, good result. Beat Sheffield United 4-1 away from home. Drew with Brighton at home 1-1. Lost at Everton away 1-0, and drew with Wolves 1-1 at home. So they're not exactly pulling up trees. So there's something they're there to get at. They're there, yes, they're fighting, but at the same time, the way they play, I think we can get about them if we're very clever in how we do it. I think if you could play Wilson, yes, you could play Isak wide, yes, there's all sorts of these permutations what you could do. But if you press with them with pace and intelligence, I think we'll outdo them. I think Eddie Howe will do one on Vincent Kompany tactically. We're not going to wait 25 minutes to see how the game goes. I think if we go from the front foot, like I said for the Sheffield United game, which we didn't do. If we do that, then I think we'll win comfortably. Not saying that if they get the first goal, they'll win. If we get the first goal, we'll win. I think if we just control the game as a whole, we'll nullify what they have to offer and win the game pretty comfortably at the end of the day. And I don't think they'll score. I think we'll win 3-0.
Okay, great show tonight. A lot of positivity, apart from Darren. And we'll be back next week with a pre-recorded show with the fans forum. I'm having a few days off, but there'll be plenty of action, and the lads will be with you next Monday. I'm back 2:45 tomorrow with Sid and Rob with Talk of the Tune. But for now, that's the fans forum done and dusted. Thanks to Kev, Barry, Alan, Ian, George, Spenny, Daz, and Chip.
Yeah, everybody.
Good night.
Cheers, lads.
How you like?